Hey guys, how's it going? We're just setting things up here. Finally got my screwdriver set back in the mail after I threw my other one away. We'll go ahead and get started here in a little bit. Just hang on here and finish setting things up and get all my parts here. All right, hello everybody, and welcome. I don't think I actually have anybody watching here, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and put this on VOD, so if anybody cares to come back and check. So today what we're going to be doing is I got this very nice MacBook Pro. This is the late 2013, early 2014 model. A customer of mine came in last week. Let me adjust my cam here so we can see what I'm doing. A customer came in last week, and unfortunately they had broken the screen on the MacBook. If we were to turn it on, you'd be able to see there was in fact a vertical crack right along the horizontal. You can't really see it in the image or in the camera, but yeah, so what we're actually going to do is, instead of taking the time, putting in the effort, I run into this a lot with computer repairs. So we have a MacBook here, and specifically the type of screen that this has, the glass has the actual LCD or LED, excuse me, I think it's LCD display unit behind it with the camera and the built-in retina tracking and all that stuff. That is all actually glued and sandwiched in between the back panel and the front glass. Now, I am fully capable, and I do have the skills and the ability to pop the glass and re-glue it and reassemble it. Now, the problem with that is the actual display itself. The cheapest I can get, it's around $215, $200. I'd still have to charge the customer around $65 to $100 to actually repair the laptop in and of itself. We'd still be right around the same price of just purchasing the entire top display panel for around $300, and then I can charge them half hour in shop for just switching it out. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. I recommend that to anybody who runs into that. Don't waste your time trying to pull these apart. Don't waste your time trying to fix these panels. It will never go well for you if you don't have experience. I've done it before. I've had a few successful, and I had 2 bad ones, and after that I decided I'm not going to do those anymore. You see that a lot. It's really common. People do that with cell phones as well, and touchscreen devices. Again, I recommend replacing the entire display assembly. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So the other day I actually started doing this, and I realized I had accidentally thrown away my most important thing. Let's see, get some more light in there. There we go. So I was actually unable to fix this last time, and the reason why, I'm actually standing in my light, which is very frustrating. Let's see if I can get a better light source here. Maybe move over to the side here. Okay, yeah, I'll move over to the side and work on it. So it was really frustrating because I decided I was going to clean up house, and I accidentally threw away the entire kit that I purchased to disassemble this thing. So I went ahead and went out and bought some overnighted, thanks to Amazon, got me some little cheapo toolkit, and it had the right pentalobe driver that I needed to take off the back. So if anybody was wondering, I believe the driver that I used was a 1.2 by 40 millimeter pentalobe. So you'll see these. Let's see if you can read that. I don't know if it'll focus for you, but so you can kind of see. You know, these come really cheap. You can buy them off of Amazon. I think I got this off Amazon Prime for $7, and I overnight shipped it for another $4. So you know, pretty good for $10. Got an assortment of you know, little screwdrivers, torque sets. Most of these I already have. Actually, I have every one of them except for the damn pentalobe, which was the one I needed and the one I threw away yesterday. It also came with, it's got a cheap little razor blade for scraping glue. It's got a really nice little pair of micro tweezers for picking up really tiny little pieces from the circuit board, and has a nice little curved T15 as well. These are actually really handy. I've had a few of these. I keep breaking the tips of them off. These are great for actually like grabbing little tiny circuit board components, or if you're soldering surface mount components onto a board, these are extremely handy. So recommend those to anybody that's going to be doing this. You know, go ahead and invest the money. It's a few bucks. Here's just a little pry tool. I know this thing's kind of cheap and flimsy, but hey, you know, whatever. For $7 you can't complain. And so, you know, I always tell people, make sure you get the right stuff. Make sure you get the right tools. The last thing you want to do is try and take something apart with the wrong tools and break it. So we're going to go ahead and start and pop the back of this case up here. And get started here. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go around and I am going to free the case up, and we will go ahead and get the back panel off of the MacBook here, which it should come up fairly easy. Why you held it? Again, as always, never force it, never try and pry. Make sure you got everything. I think what's going on here, yep, that's what I thought. The case is bent a little bit in the corner over here, and so it was binding the case in there. I'm wondering if this one has... There it goes, yep. So somebody... Woo! Got a little dust in my face there. Beautiful. Okay, so looks like somebody was having a little bit of fun torquing this thing down before. You should definitely not have the screen cranked down like that. So we got a little bit of dust on it. I'll go ahead and we'll clean that off. Here's what the back panel looks like. Pretty flimsy, pretty cheap, easy. It's got your rubber feety on it, and then it's got a couple of guards to protect it from shorting out on the metallic case in the back. So we're going to go ahead and take that, set that aside for right now. We're not going to need that here for quite a bit until we go ahead and reassemble it back together. So next thing we're going to do here is, as you can see, we have our open case down here, and so kind of interesting what we're looking at here. So MacBook actually has an interesting way of making their batteries fit together correctly. So if you actually look down here, this portion right here is the actual motherboard, and this portion, these down here, are actually all battery cells. I believe, yes, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all 6 of these little guys are all battery cells down here at the bottom. I've never replaced one of these batteries before, but I assume it's pretty straightforward as far as disassembling in the correct order, reassembling in the correct order. Alright, so in order to do this, it looks like we are going to only have to take out a few screws, which is good. I don't believe I'm going to have to remove the motherboard. No, it does not look like I need to remove the motherboard for this repair, which is nice. That's actually really should save my client a little bit of money there. I always like to prorate my prices and everything. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is there's 2 little tabs here on either side. These are just little rubber grommets that fit over the hinges there. And so just to give you an idea of what we're going to go ahead and replace, get my foam pad over here. Alright, so here we go. Here is the new replacement top assembly panel. It comes complete. It's got the camera, all the hinges, the new glass front, and nice new shiny back. Like I said, you know, spend the extra money. It's an extra like $60. It's all pre-assembled. It's nice. You don't have to mess with cracking screens, glue and stuff. And from a repair standpoint, as far as the shop's concerned, much easier to do this than have to deal with other stuff. So this is what we're going to go ahead and replace. What we're going to do is, it's got a few screws. One thing I'm checking real quick is I want to make sure that the connector is the correct connector before I take all this apart here. So I'm just matching up. I believe we have a match here. So let me go ahead and pull this one off. A little extractor tool here and pull up. There we go. So it's got a little basically it's a little locking, it's a little tiny wire that they've bent into a U shape that hooks into the thing, but basically it's a little locking wire to make sure that the display cable from the actual screen does not get damaged. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this, or it does not get pulled out when you're moving along. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and wiggle this guy loose. It should come loose here for me. There we go. Alright, so again, before I completely disassemble this thing, I'm going to make sure this is supposed to be the correct part, but I always verify and make sure. So what we're looking for here is, does this match? Does this look the same? And I believe, yes, we do have a match. This is a 30 pin and a 30 pin, so we are good to go there. The next thing I'm going to check here is make sure everything else, this thing is showing. Okay, there's that. We got another one right here. This is actually going to be for the camera, and so I'm going to go ahead and pop this one out, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the correct pin out, because the other one matched, but you always want to make sure. I'm going to go ahead here and use my little tweezers here to see if I can kind of push this thing open. There it goes. Just had to work the opening open there real quick so I can get my little tool down in there. So I'm just being very careful. You know, one thing you do want to watch out is when you're pulling this stuff out, disconnecting these guys. Be careful you do not break these little tabs here. It's really easy to snap stuff off. There it goes. Guy came out there. And so when I'm checking, I just want to make sure that the camera plug-in display matches the plug-in display over here on my part that I got. And so it looks like we do in fact have a match. Yes, perfect match. So it looks like we have the correct make and the correct model of screen. That's good. It better have been the right one. I try not to order the wrong parts the first time. It tends to speed up the repair process. So okay, so we went ahead and we disconnected that. That's going to be your actual display cable. We disconnected this, which is going to be your camera cable. And the last thing we got to do is we have three little, and these are going to be your wireless LAN antennas. So you just want to take those and pop those right up here with your little tool. And those come right up out and should pull right up over. I think maybe these have a, yes, okay, yeah, so there's just a little tiny hook. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rubber grommets off of the actual hinge frame here, and I believe they're glued on there. Yep. So there's a little bit of glue on there. You can kind of see it just has a little notch here for the screw holes to fit in, so we'll just set those aside. Pull those off of both of them here. I apologize for the lighting here in advance. I'll try and make that better later. But okay, so now you can see we've exposed our, let me go ahead, I'm actually going to go ahead and pull the camera. The camera is going to have a little adhesive on the back of the on the back of the cable. It just stuck to the top of the heatsink housing, or the fan housing off the heatsink there. Don't worry about that, you can just peel it up, that comes up really easily. So next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the 6 hinge screws that are securing the top panel to the case. These are going to be Torx screws, I believe. Yes, those are Torx screws. And if I'm correct, I believe that's like a T7 or a T8, which, wanna know, I do have one of those. So lo and behold, I actually have a tool I need, which is wonderful. Eventually you'll amass everything. So these are going to be, one thing I recommend, especially with, I'm going to take a moment here to plug something. So something I recommend, go out and I just bought really cheap, overnighted some really cheap screwdrivers just to get this case off. I'm actually going to purchase a high quality cobalt tip, whatever it is. I can't remember the cobalt color, the zinc color, there's some titanium tip coated precision screwdriver sets out there, and you want to go ahead and invest in those, because after about 2 or 3 jobs, these cheap little whatever it is, Kazi Chinese things, they'll just strip right out. So this is a high-end. I went out and bought this from it's local Menards, whatever. It's a Masterforce. It's their normal brand, but these tools hold up. I've been using the same Torx bit for years. I think for 4 years now. Never had to replace it. So spend a little extra money. This costs about $13. About as much as that entire other kit. But being able to remove, because these hinge screws are usually torqued in there pretty tight, and so you want to be careful, of course, that you don't destroy your tool, and hence why I like quality tools. So we're going to go ahead. This has 6 screws here. These should all come out fairly easily. There's 1, 2. These should all be the same size. Ooh, that one's in there a little bit tight. Come on. There we go. No Loctite on them. Typical. Typical. Alright. Go ahead and remove the other side here. Alright, so when I went ahead and removed that, the this had a little tiny cable. Looks like it's got like a little tiny pinch slide here. We're gonna try and bend this apart so we can reuse this. Basically, what this thing's doing is just pinching the cable in between a little metal grommet piece here, so that they got that thing cramped in there pretty good. So that when you go to clamp it back down, it's basically like a little securing clip here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this thing loose. Looks like they put some solder on it or something. What is holding that in? Yeah, they did. Looks like they put a little drop of solder to hold their cable. Okay, well, we're not going to mess with that. I'm not pulling that off. That's just an aesthetic thing. Yeah, I mean, it's probably kind of important to have it there, but I'm not going to take the time to peel it off. Actually, it is really important that it's there, but I'll just make sure I tuck my cables back in the right spot. When we put the case on, it should be good to go. Okay, so now we should be free up here. Let's see if I can separate. Okay, that one's loose. That one's loose. Alright, so now, get that out the way. We should be ready to actually extract the bottom from the top. So to do that, kind of pull up there a little bit. Should rotate the hinges out. And they should come right out the bottom here. It's kind of tricky with all the cabling and wiring. Kind of got to move it just the right way. I might have to remove one extra. Oh, you know what? I think I might actually have to remove the. There's a little tiny. Yeah, I think on this one, yeah, you might have to. There's a little itty bitty tiny. Oops, what's that doing? Stick that back in there. There's a little tiny piece that holds this in here on the back, and I think that's what's holding me in here still. Yeah, yep, I see it down in there. Let's go ahead and use a torque screw. What's that, a T5? It's probably a T5. T4, one of the two. Yep, it's T4. Yeah, good thing I got this extra kit. Okay, there we go. So there should be a little tiny bracket right here. Forgot about this guy. And that, all that is just a little chunk of aluminum holding the hinge in there. Should be another one of them over here, yes. My bad, I forgot about this step. Okay, pull that over there. I'll go ahead and get this one out of there. Come on, baby. Come on. Don't make me. I'll get my tweezers out. There you go. Shit. Oh, interesting. Looks like someone has taken this thing apart before, because they broke the cover on the battery. Interesting. And normally you're supposed to unhook the battery, and that's probably bad for me not to do that, but honestly I don't really care too much. Never had a problem with that. And it's got a tamper proof anyway, so if the back of the case is off, it shouldn't allow you to turn it on. And plus I don't want to mess with trying to peel this thing off again. Yeah, but I should do it anyways. So I can tell whoever took this apart last time didn't have the right tool, because when they pried it, you can see they broke the corner of it off there. Yep, right there. Dumbasses. So that's what happens when you try and take stuff apart and you don't have the right tools. You break stuff. Just in case anybody was wondering, so it's kind of some interesting stuff in here. This little part up here, I'll get out the way here. So this little part right here is actually, this is, funny enough, the hard drive here. This is your solid state hard drive, and it's pretty funny. It's like really small. This one has built-in RAM, so the RAM is on board right there. This could be actually an add-on RAM card, but I'm pretty sure that's the solid state hard drive. Yes, that is what that is. Yep, so yeah, kind of neat how these components are kind of evolving. It's got a two-part CPU on it, graphics, and so the CPU and GPU are both on the same thing, and it almost looks like this motherboard was replaced once. I'm wondering if maybe someone plugged this thing in and burnt the video card on it, because this looks like it is a brand new motherboard. And judging by the markings on the screws here, yeah, somebody's definitely replaced the motherboard on here. No big deal. No big deal. All right, so we're going to go ahead here and try now and pull this out. Now it should slide right out on us. Let's see here. I need to bend these hinges out right. Alright, so I need to take these hinges here and get these guys bent straight up like that, and then it should come right out, if I remember correctly. Oh, get hung up there. It's always the most challenging part, is getting the actual things separated. But you want to be very careful, and you don't want to go too fast. You don't want to just pry stuff apart. Come on, let go. It's fighting me here. That's everything. That's undone. That's undone. That should be free right there. That's my angle of attack around here. I think I might have been binding it there. There we go. Come on. Gonna go a little bit more here. There it goes. Haha. Had to get it bent up a little more. So okay, now we got our top of the actual. So this would be the. Oh, you got a bunch of crap stuck in your vents. So this is actually the top half of the bottom of the case. So most laptops are like this. They mount all the components up against the keyboard. So now, here we have our old, broken, dead, no good, bad, crappy. I'm gonna get this thing out of here. So we'll go ahead and throw this thing to the side. And let's go ahead and pull out our fresh new one. Very exciting. Woo! Yay. Okay. So now we got our fresh new one here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is remove the packing tape and goodie junks that came on it. As you can see on the bottom here of this, it's got a little strip of 3M backing tape. You pull that strip off, and that's what sticks to the bottom of the heatsink there. So we'll go ahead and pull the tape off the. Oh, look! It comes with the little. Sweet. Okay, so that was the thing I was after right there. That little tab. So that actually came with that on it, like it was supposed to. It's nice thing about buying OEM parts. Everything is exactly the way it should be coming from the factory. So. These things should slide together nicely. What I'm going to need to do here is bend these tabs upwards at just the right angle, like you saw me had it before. And so the laptop should just slide very nicely right back in here. So again, bend the tabs up so they're sticking straight up, and then I'm going to go ahead and take the MacBook, and we're going to come in from the top. Wait, let's see here. I think I got this thing backwards. Oh, what? No, it's right. Okay. So you want the camera closest to you, and you want the laptop with the battery facing you, with the motherboard facing up, and then you're going to lift it up and like that, kind of turn it so that the so let me do this sideways so you guys can kind of see this a little bit better. So we're going to start out like this. Let's see if I can get that in the image there better. So we're going to start out, you're going to have your laptop like this, flip it over, and so you see how the camera is going to be closest to me and the motherboard's going to be facing away like that. And you come up, you bring the motherboard up in, and just like that. And then if it sits there, and if it's in there correctly, it should allow you to just slide it right on in. So I think my hinges are off by just a bit here. Yep, got to back my hinges up just a hair. So what I'm trying to do here is get it to slide in just right. Let me see what my hinge angle was here. I think I need to have it back just a little bit more there. Be careful here, don't bend your hinges. Okay, there we go. Then this one, no cat, no. No, seriously? Seriously? No cat. And then you have a cat that comes and tries to bother you when you're trying to repair stuff. So, okay. Alright, let's try this again. It's coming in from the bottom. Yeah, it looks like this time we got it. There we go. Like I said, that's kind of one of the more challenging aspects of trying to get this thing in. Like, if anything, a challenging part. You know, the trick is you got to get your hinges back here aligned at just the right fold. So you want to open them just enough so that when you bring the laptop in, and the back of the case will then be able to wrap around the hinges. You just want to make sure, of course, you're careful of your cables as you're sticking it through there. And then, pretty simple, just go ahead and bend your hinges back down. That one bent back down. And sometimes these hinges don't want to go all the way back down into place. They'll kind of fight you a little bit. And if that happens, what you want to do is just go ahead and lift the laptop, separate the top and the bottom just a little bit, and kind of tilt the laptop up, and then set all of your screws. And then once you set your screws in there, then the hinges should clamp down. So I'm going to go ahead and actually do that here. I'm going to put a little rolled up chunk of foam in here just to kind of keep the magnetic piece from shutting on me again. Okay, there we go. This light is really annoying me. I need to get a better light for next time. We'll take care of that for next time, so I'm not standing in front of the light all the time trying to work on this. So, alright, so we're going to go ahead and get back to putting stuff back together here. So, we'll just kind of go in the reverse order that we went there for the most part, except for I'm going to do the hinges here first. Where's my torque screw there? We're going to go ahead and put in. We got our 6 hinge screws that we took out there, so we're going to go ahead and put those back in. I'm not going to put Loctite on these because there was no Loctite on them before and they were not loose when I took them out. So I'm not going to accidentally cement these things in there for some reason. That doesn't need to happen. So right now I'm just kind of lightly threading these guys in. We're not clamping them down quite yet. Initially we're just going to go ahead and screw them down kind of snugly. Just snug them down a little bit, and then we'll come back and tighten them once we get all the rest of the screws in place. So snug that one down. Again, make sure you got your little wire clip, the little wire tab, holder tab, I suppose you could call it. Snug those down. Snug these down. Usually what I do is I'll go ahead and just snuggle everything down, and then I'll come back, and once everything gets set, I will put a final little torque tight on there just to make sure that the hinges don't come back out or don't come loose. So the next thing we did is we took out our little pieces. I think those are actually plastic on this model, not metal. So we took those out, so we'll go ahead and put those back in there. So you had one of these on each side. Just make sure that the orientation's correct so that when you put them back in there, This one goes on the, you can kind of tell which one they go on. The case should line up with it nicely. You'll see what I mean there. But the tab, there's a little tab on the side of it that should line up just nicely with the back of the case there to protect stuff from getting inside the case when it's in use, when it's out running around in use. So gone ahead and put that one in, and we'll go ahead and put the other one in here. Alright, snug those both down nicely. Got those tabs in. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to hook up our video cable connector for the actual LCD panel itself. Again, I'm going to use my little tool to kind of push her into place there. And lock it down. And there we go. So now, double check, make sure that's all in there nice and tight. And then make sure this cable route's correctly underneath there. Let's see. Tuck it under there, tuck that, tuck that, tuck that, tuck that. It should all just tuck right in there. That's another thing you gotta kind of fight sometimes, is when you get new stuff, the cables don't always want to fit where they're supposed to. Might actually have to pull this one out and twist it if it doesn't want to play nice. No, there it goes. Okay, that one's staying down now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our little rubber grommet feedy back down here for our case there, and that's just going to keep our case from rubbing against the frame screws, and also I believe it helps with making sure that the case, I think what this has, I think there's actually a couple little tiny magnets here, and it's also helped to, or it's all supposed to be there to help the case from getting smashed in on the outer corners. I see that a lot where people will crush the outer corners like this, and then it shorts or damages stuff on the outside. So that must be a new measure here with the new 2013s. I've never done this exact model. I've done a 15-inch, but the 15-inch didn't have those, so must have been an earlier model or something. So okay, we went ahead and we got the display panel cable put in there, and that's tucked down out of the way now, so that should fit in there nicely. We'll go ahead and keep reminding that thing where it belongs, but eventually it should stay. There it goes. Okay, watch the battery there. Alright, so the next thing we got here is our 3 LAN cables and our retina, or excuse me, our camera. So we'll go ahead here and we'll save the Wi-Fi cables here till last, just to make sure we can get our camera stuck under here where it belongs. Alright, so again, I told you I had that nice little piece of glue there, so we're going to go ahead and pull the stripping, or the protective cover, off of our adhesive strip there. And we'll go ahead and lift up this, pull that out the way, and pretty much this guy just kind of comes across here, and we stick it on here. And that's just going to kind of hold that guy into place. This guy, get my little tool here, should fall right back into place here. Oh, might have, this needs to come back a little ways here. Anyway, I'm actually going to put this in first and then stick it down. Alright, there we go. Went ahead and got that in there, so we'll go ahead and stick that down, push that down there. Okay, there we go. Now this thing is sitting down a little bit. And that should tuck down in there really nicely. That should tuck away. And these guys should come up over the top. Perfect. Alright, there we go. Those little tabs back under there. Alright, so now we got the camera plug-in done. Hey guys! My neighbor's dogs are saying hello out there. Alright, so last but not least, we're going to go ahead here and hook up our, we got our three, these are going to be your Wi-Fi here, and I don't think they actually marked these. So, let's see here. Oh yeah, they got them marked. Okay, so trick with this, usually they'll either have some sort of tape, coloring, or in this case what they did is they put different sized pieces of shrink wrap. It's really hard to actually see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually get it on camera here, but if you look, see if I can get this thing close enough here. So if you look here, right at the edge of here, you notice how these three, you can kind of see it. Let's see if I can get this thing to. You can kind of see it, how there's, yeah, I can't really tell very well. There you go. See on the end there how it, like how there's one that has one that has a long piece and one that has a thin piece. So if you can see that, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. But this one right here, every time I move my hand in front of it, I kill it. So this one on the very end right there, see how right there it has like a little piece of wire shrink wrap. Then the next one over has more wire shrink wrap, and the next one over has none. So that's the way they indicated which, on your Wi-Fi card you're going to have three. There's going to be jumper 0, jumper 1, jumper 2, and that is how you tell. Usually the longest one or the shortest one, they have some reference, but because I kind of know where they went before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my old one and kind of look at it and say, oh, okay, well, I can kind of tell which one goes where. And so according to this, the smallest one goes to the left, the one with the long piece of shrink wrap on it goes in the middle, and the one without shrink wrap goes on the left. So that should be up. So that should be our guide there. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my there, grab my little tool here, and we'll push these guys into place. So this one goes here. These guys are kind of a pain in the butt to stick on. You just gotta, kind of got to teeter them on there. Be really careful though, of course. You don't want to accidentally break them off. So we're going to go ahead and put the one with the longest amount of, longest bits of shrink wrap. That one's going to go in the center here. So if I can get this thing lined up just right, there we go. Should just press on for me. Yep, snap, snap. And we'll stick the last one on there. And it should go right on there for me. Oh, just hitting that screw there. Alright, let's try this again. Get it lined up. And should snap right in. There we go. Alright. So now we have our we have our three Wi-Fi cables connected back up. Gonna tuck that thing under there, underneath the little wire tab there. Okay, so we're going to double check, go back over what we went ahead and took apart before, make sure everything we took apart is back in the same place before. We have the display cable that's put back in, we have the Wi-Fi cable that's put back in, and we have the camera cable that's plugged back in. Went ahead and put the two plastic tabs back on the edge of the frame hinge there, and we went ahead and put the two rubber grommets back over the frame screws. We went ahead and snugged down the, actually, I'm going to double check that, make sure I got these things snugged down right. Just to make sure before I send this thing off, make sure I snug down my... Okay, yep, got that one. I think I did, but I'm going to double check. Always double check. Always double check. Double check this one. Oh, nope, I did not tighten that one down. Aha, it's a good thing I double checked. Okay, there we go. So now those are all torqued down. Those are all torqued down. That's all torqued down. We've got our rubber grommets back on. Everything's good to go. Let's go ahead and stick the battery back together here. Let's see where this battery lines up. Alright, battery is put back in there. Whoever worked on this laptop before was not a good technician, but that's okay. I'm not going to judge him. So, alright, looks like everything should be back together here. We'll go ahead here, put the bottom panel back on the case here, clean some dust off. People dust. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take our back panel here and go ahead, and it should fit nicely if I put it the right way. Should fit nicely back in here. And it does. Everything fits back on. Nothing seems to be sticking up anywhere, so it looks like everything's back together the way we want it. So we're going to go ahead and take our little bag of screws here for the bottom of the case, stick them back in here, and we should be done. That sounds pretty good. We're right at about an hour, which is right about what I figured it would take to fix it. So we go ahead and take our Pentalobe. This is going to be a 1.2 by 40 millimeter Pentalobe screwdriver, and that's going to be for removing and replacing or reinserting the screws on the back panel. Again, I ordered mine from Amazon for $7 last night and had it overnighted, so I could go ahead and get this customer's laptop done, because I decided throwing the old set away was a good idea the other day. So, you know, what are you going to do? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Looks like we got ourselves a bad screw there. Yeah, I can already tell these screws are in pretty bad shape. I'm just snugging them down lightly because the next guy might not be able to get them out if he's got to take them back out again. So put them in tight enough to hold the case down, but not tight enough that you can't get them back out. You really don't need a lot of torque on these things. They're just little tiny screws. And I believe there's two of these that are actually shallow screws. Those should go in the back. Yes. Right here, I think. shallow screw number 1 and shallow screw number 2. Unless those are for the front. No, these shallow screws are for the back panel. Yes. Case alignment's pretty good too. I was kind of concerned that the hinges might have gotten bents on this thing. When it came in, it was kind of a little bit wonky, but it looked like it was just because of it had like this outer shell cover on it. I think that was all that was misaligned. So it looks like this new cover aligns perfectly with the top. Well, it should, but there's a lot of things in life that should do stuff that they don't. Alright, and the last screw. The last done. Alright, there we go. Looks like all the frame edges fit down in there just right, just nice. So now, check it, make sure nothing looks like it's sticking out wrong anywhere. It is a little bent there, but not here fixing bent cases, so. Alright, now comes the million-dollar question. Does it turn on? Oh, and look at that. The most beautiful thing ever. A fully functional, fully working, completely replaced. Beautiful. Beautiful. Go ahead and pop in as a guest user. And there we go. A fully replaced MacBook Pro with Retina display. Top panel. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's always nice to see something back and working again. We'll open up something here. Open up a note. Tip type just to make sure we didn't break the keyboard. Alright. And we're good to go. Shut this guy back down and get it back to the customer. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and call it good. Looks like we don't have any dead pixels on there, so that's another good thing. Sometimes you'll get these and you'll have a dead pixel on the screen, but this screen looks like she is 100% all the way. So, now I'm going to go ahead and shut this guy back down, and we're going to go ahead and call it. Thanks everybody for stopping by here and coming and checking things out, watching me repair this MacBook Pro 13-inch model A1502. Again, this is the early 2014, late 2013 model, and the exact model was the A1502 with the EMC 2678 in it. I think that's the NIC card actually it goes by. So, yep, there we go. All finished, all done, and she is looking mighty good with her new display. So, yeah, thanks again. Thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate it, and enjoy. Definitely appreciate anybody who comes checks it out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.